Hello, hello. Let's talk about the liver today, one of the most underestimated organs. And I know when somebody says you're going to cleanse your liver, you think like, oh, I'm going to starve myself for 12 days and eat funny foods and, and all such things. And I want to tell you that you can support your liver throughout the year without doing anything drastic. You can do that with foods, with different herbs. And so I want to talk about that. And the big deal about the liver, if you follow us for a while, you know that liver is hugely connected to balancing your hormones, everything from thyroid, estrogen, progesterone, blood sugar balance. It all depends on a really clean liver. But also, surprise, surprise, for some of you, it might be a surprise that you can actually get a lot of allergy relief in the spring that is already in your neighborhood. It might be already happening. I'm in Colorado, so we are probably like a month away from having spring. We just had another snowfall. And so, but either way, it's going to be, it might be hitting you hard. And so one of the interesting things that I really got to appreciate the liver when I started working with, when I was in private practice many years ago, I'll work with women on their thyroid and estrogen problems. And what happened was a lot of times we would, focus on the liver a lot because that was a real fundamental part of their hormone healing journey. But then surprisingly, especially some of them who are very in tune with their bodies, will come and say, you know what, this is the first time in 5-10 years that I've actually not had any allergic reactions to the plants outside, or the trees, to the pollen, and I can go outside and actually I'm not sneezing, and I don't have headaches. I don't have to depend on my antihistamines. And so for those of you who are depending on antihistamines, I know it's a great way of just getting through the day and not be suffering. However, they do have consequences. They are connected to a lot of gut issues, including being a contributor towards autoimmune conditions. Some of you may realize, or you might have seen this in yourself, that you take antihistamines for a while and they work for a while and then they stopped working. Sometimes they work for certain allergies, they don't work on others, and list goes on. So to really future-proof yourself, if you work on your liver through food, supplements, and herbs, you can really achieve a lot and free yourself not only of allergens, a lot of the allergens, including things that you might be sensitive to on a daily basis, like maybe your cat is really, you can't give up your cat, but your cat is causing some kind of allergies. All of that can really play a big role. So let's just talk a little bit about the liver first. Like, how do you know if your liver is a little bit sluggish? So I've got a very sophisticated prop for you here today, and that's my sieve from the kitchen. So think of the liver like a sieve, right? It's basically, it filters out a lot of gunk, and a lot of people think of alcohol as being liver is the filtration system for alcohol, and then it's true, but actually it includes a lot of other things. It includes all your pharmaceuticals, any other recreational drugs. It also includes any chemicals that is contained in food, such as conventionally grown food. All of that is going to be filtered through the liver, but also your hormones, interestingly. Some of your neurotransmitters, like histamine, is also dependent on deficiency of your liver. And so your liver is like a sieve, right? So just imagine if I was pouring things through the sieve, like if I was, let's say, I just made a bone broth and I was pouring the bone broth through the sieve, there will be a lot of stuff accumulating here, right? If I don't go and throw it away, right? I don't particularly throw my carrots up like that, but let's say I do, then without getting rid of the gunk in the sieve, you can just imagine what's going to happen. And that's when overflow happens. Nothing gets filtered. Everything starts overflowing. So simple analogy is to think of your liver as a sieve. And when you start overflowing, this is when a whole bunch of symptoms start setting in. And so I want to talk a little bit about those, because a lot of us don't connect a lot of these symptoms to an unhealthy liver, or I should say, and by the way, you don't have to come to a point of having fatty liver, like your doctor coming and telling you you've got fatty liver, and you're like, but I don't drink alcohol. Well, there is such a thing as a non-alcoholic fatty liver, and guess what? The biggest contributor towards non-alcoholic fatty liver is actually sugar and not alcohol. And by the way, alcohol also gets converted as sugar in the body. So that gives you part of an idea. But there's a lot of other symptoms that I want to talk about that create an onset, and you don't have to. I mean, there are some lab works you can get done, like there's the ASL and ATL when you get your liver labs, and they're good markers for enzymes that might be elevated. However, what I have found is that it's first of all, they are not exhaustive, and number two is that you get a lot of other symptoms much earlier on the onset of your liver struggling, rather than be waiting for it to really overflow, like what I was giving an example of everything just overflowing out of the sieve. So first of all, for those of you who are struggling with high LDL cholesterol, so the bad cholesterol, right? And even though you've changed your diet, your LDL tends to be on the high side, that could be deficiency in the liver function. Elevated ALT and AST liver enzymes, like what I mentioned, that is easy, something you can get from your lab work. Also digestive issues such as bloating, constipation, people who have inability to digest fatty foods, that could also be a gallbladder function. Somebody was asking just now about the gallbladder. The gallbladder is, actually, so the liver produces what's called bile, right? And bile will emulsify the fats, and those fats are actually used for you to produce HDL cholesterol, which is the good cholesterol, and that's a good thing. However, when you don't have your gallbladder, you're not really impairing the function of the liver, because basically the gallbladder stores the bile. So if you don't have a bile, you're only depending on the liver to produce and release bile. It just means that your liver has to be a lot more efficient in order to do that, so produce the bile on demand. Constipation, inability to digest fatty foods, that could be because of poor bile production, because the liver is just overburdened with having to detox, and is like, it's so gunged up that it's like trickling through rather than be everything flowing through it. Skin related allergies, that's a huge one, you guys. So like people who suddenly have like a lot of rashes, psoriasis, eczema, boils and acne and moles and itching around the skin, could also be related to the liver. Fluctuating blood sugar levels. So that's really interesting, because the liver plays a huge function in maintaining and balancing your blood sugar levels. Okay, so what happens is when your liver is sluggish, your blood sugar levels might be fluctuating and get wonky, and that can manifest in the form of loss of appetite, weakness and dizziness, nausea, vomiting, low energy levels, fever, abdominal pain. Hormonal imbalances is the next point, and that's a huge one, you guys. I mean, I started my career in this space doing thyroid work, and so working with Hashimoto's, low thyroid function, right? Because that was my story. And one of the big things that I've realized, like for example, women who are taking thyroid replacement medications, such as, for example, thyroxine, right, Synthroid. What's interesting is that these are T4 hormones. So this is like the first hormone that your thyroid produces, but it's the liver and the gut. That's when it got T4. Even if it's synthetic form, like your medication, you need to convert it to T3 in the gut and the liver. And T3 is what powers you up as a person, gives you sharp mind, beautiful skin, good energy, ability to convert fats to energy, right? So that's why thyroid patients have a problem losing weight. And that's really important because then when your liver is not functioning properly, you're not converting to T4 to T3. And this is the reason, this is a classical situation. Some of you might relate to this, that you go and see a doctor because you have low thyroid function and you're beginning to feel more and more tired. And what does the doc do? Give you a higher dose, right? And even in spite of the higher dose, it's not helping you feel better. Why? Is because you're not converting that synthetic T4 you just took to an active T3. In estrogen dominance, the liver plays a huge role as well. It detoxifies us from estrogens. In fact, in my book, Overcoming Estrogen Dominance, there is 3 sections to the book: gut health, liver support, and liver, gut, and blood sugar balance. And all the recipes are based on these 3. And so without fixing your liver, you will never be able to address estrogen dominance really effectively. So let's see. So sleep hormonal imbalances can manifest in form of sleep and mental disturbances, mental confusion, depression, sensitivity to medicines. Actually, hey, you guys, this is a really huge one. In fact, I have found that a lot of the symptoms that I'm mentioning right now can be due to a lot of other things. It's very hard to isolate them to being specifically liver, but I have found that there are a few of them that are very, very telling. That is most likely is the liver that you need to look into. And sensitivity to hormone replacement therapy, especially when you're taking oral, like oral progesterone, if you're taking oral estrogen. I hope you're not, because those are not the best delivery methods. If you are taking thyroid medication, which is always through the mouth, and you're certainly getting a lot of reactions to those. If you're very sensitive to smells, that's a really huge one. People who, for example, walk into like, I don't know, Walgreens or through some sections, or like Walmart, where there's a lot of chemicals in, let's say, in the cleaning aisles, and you suddenly get this really overwhelming headache, right? Or you hate going to a gas station because the smells really like give you a headache right away. All of those can be very tightly correlated with the liver function. And so what I've seen is when women support their liver function effectively, that's when a lot of the symptoms actually go away. Hot flashes could be another one. The list goes on. So other symptoms will be also intolerance to alcohol. This is a big sign as well. I've noticed it on myself, and share with us if you see that too. I've seen it on myself. It's like if I go through, like 3 weeks, 4 weeks of like a real paying attention to my liver, and I do a lot of bitter herbs and castor oil packs, and I do the 3 supplements I'm going to talk about today, then I really see that, for example, if I have a glass of wine, I don't even get tipsy. Like, I have no reaction whatsoever to alcohol. But if I'm drinking, if I have that glass of wine, while my liver is already pretty stressed out, then what happens is I feel it right away. I mean, have you ever seen or observed that kind of thing in yourself, that after doing maybe a cleanse, you don't respond to alcohol as easily as that? So intolerance to coffee could be another one. So that's a stimulant. Again, coffee, same as alcohol, will be metabolized through your liver. And so that could be the reason why your body is really reacting very badly to coffee, meaning you could be getting very jittery. You could be getting hot flashes from it. So it's highly inflammatory that way. Easy bruising, that could be another one. However, this is also could be due to some deficiencies in minerals, but that could be another thing to look out for. Yellowing of your eyes. So, instead of having beautiful white eyes, eye whites, right? You just have like this sort of murky yellowish color to it. And I remember once when I was in a detox center in Thailand many years ago, people who did the liver flash will come out the next morning, and you could see it in their spark in their eyes. Like, they looked different from the rest of us because they were just so incredibly, just looking so vibrant. And that was just really interesting to see how much doing a liver flash has really activated or freed their liver, so much so it was showing up in their eyes. Another symptom could be dark urine and stool, bad breath, a very common one. However, bad breath could also be because you have low stomach acid, heartburn, sensitivity to chemicals like paint, petrol, bleaches, I already mentioned that, and body odor. I want to mention the body odor one because this is a really interesting one. I feel, when I used to drink coffee was really my addiction. I really struggled with coffee for many years. I have a highly addictive personality, and so I've never touched drugs in my life. And even as a young adult, my friends would just go and do all sorts of drugs for fun, and I'll be terrified to do that. And so that's because of my addictive personality. But I channel my addiction to other things. And so I used to be a cigarette smoker for many years. I know it's tragically embarrassing. Thank God I gave it up through doing actually a session of hypnosis with a practitioner. And that was 6 years ago, and I never even thought of a cigarette again. But the other thing that I had an addiction towards was coffee, and I struggled with it for years and years. One of the things that I feel like my body and my liver isn't producing specific enzymes to break down coffee specifically, and so it was really burdening my liver drinking coffee. An interesting thing, was manifesting in form of body odor. So it's kind of like we assume that everybody has the body odor, and we do, because you're producing, your sweat. It's that your sweat itself doesn't smell. It's the bacteria that starts growing on the sweat that produces the smell. And if you have a bit of a smell at the end of the day, it's perfectly natural and normal, and for most people it's bearable. It's only you can smell it, and that's where I am today. However, if I start drinking alcohol or too much of it and coffee, my body smells. In fact, I cannot imagine, or when I was a coffee drinker, I could not imagine functioning every day and interact with people and go into public without wearing a deodorant. For disclosure, I do not use deodorant. Ask my friends, nobody will tell you that I'm a stinky Magdalena. And I attribute that towards the care that I take of my liver. And so that's, I think, a really interesting one. And I'm curious if any one of you has had this experience when you cleanse your liver, like maybe doing after a cleanse, you have also experienced that your liver is actually functioning, your body odor is significantly lower, so much so. And your feet smell. That's another thing. Your feet don't smell as much. I have a number of friends, when I go to their home, they have like shoe deodorants and they spray their shoes because they feel like their feet are stinky. And of course, I don't say that, but I think like, okay, well, if you worked on your liver, you wouldn't have to use it. And so I used to have very smelly feet and be very embarrassed by that. No more. And so that all goes back to the liver. So quite a phenomenal organ, if you think about it. Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about, and by the way, Kamalani is going to post the link to the article that I'm reading all the symptoms from. And so you can familiarize yourself with it. By the way, this is going to be a question for me, for you guys, just to guess of how many ounces or liters of blood does your liver cleanse, purify every minute? So in 1 minute, right? If you use liters, just give me liters. If you want to use ounces, give us ounces. And the winner who gets this right gets a bottle of magnesium replenish. How about that? So one more time, question: how many ounces or liters of water does your liver purify in a minute? That kind of gives you an idea. 300 liters. No, I mean, that's in a minute. It can be, you don't even have 300 liters. You don't weigh 300 liters. So no, that is not correct. 12 liters. No, that's too much. 1 minute, you guys. I mean, by the way, does everybody know where your liver is? And just in case you don't, let me just stand up and show it to you, because I just want to be clear. It's on your right side. Most of it is sitting under your rib cage, and some of it goes outside here. So so really under your boob, your breast, you can just put your hand right here, and this is your liver. Okay? That's your liver right here. In traditional Chinese medicine, it's considered a anger organ. So when I used to run detoxes, we had people who, for example, I'll get back to this in a second. Oh, I think somebody got the answer right. When I used to run the detoxes, like 2-week detoxes, there was a woman once, and then there was a few after that. We had a number of participants who would say they experience a few days of real anger, like a lot of stuff starts coming out. And it was really interesting. It was a little scary for me as a young practitioner. But basically the answer was that when you detox, there's a lot of movement that starts happening in the liver, and it can cause a lot of anger to surface, and all of that shall pass. And same thing, like anything stagnating, we should be moving that. So you guys, so the answer is 50 ounces and 1.4 liters of blood every minute that your liver is cleansing. So Kamalani, whoever got the answer right, I think it was somebody on in our group on Thrivers, but unfortunately we can't see the name. So help me figure this out, and then so we can contact us at support@hormonesbalance.com so that we can get your mailing address and send you a bottle of our magnesium replenish. By the way, I'm going to talk about the 3 supplements that can really help you with supporting your liver. And before I dive into this, I want to just say, that you don't have to do a deep, intense, debilitating detox that gives you horrendous headaches, lack of energy. You don't have to take time off from work. There's time and place for these sort of things, but I see liver support as something that, how many times in a month do you clean your house? You tidy it up probably every day, every other day, right? You probably get a housekeeper, or you do it yourself twice at least a month to do that, right? Imagine if you were just waiting for a spring cleaning to clean your house only 2 times a year, like the same way you want to do a cleanse, right? That will be a pretty miserable existence in your house if you're only getting a housekeeper to come and clean your house twice a year, Box Day and some kind of a spring cleaning. You can't do that. So you can do a lot of things through the food in order to accomplish that. And so, Overcoming Estrogen Dominance, the whole book, it was written with the perspective of incorporating a lot of bitter herbs, a lot of bitter foods such as arugula, parsley, cilantro, dandelion root, burdock root as teas. All of those recipes are in my book. So if you don't have that, get it. And it's on Amazon. That's really one of the things that you can incorporate every day. Make this part of your liver cleansing protocol. I'm drinking. Let me just show you. I'm drinking a smoothie right now. I'm very short on time today. I had a very busy day, so I made a quick smoothie that's got avocado, but it also has arugula, which is bitter. It's got lemon and lime. It's got flaxseed, which is great. Fiber is so important to move your bowels and offload your liver function. What else? I put in some our collagen powder in here, and broccoli sprouts. That was another thing. So I'm going to talk about broccoli sprouts in just a second. So, this is the kind of things you can do every day. So you are supporting your liver. Is it cooked? No, it's not cooked. Nothing is cooked. That's all, everything that I put, in smoothies. And by the way, the smoothie has 0 sugar in it. So I did use salt as well. No cooked greens. Everything is raw. You can put, I guess, cooked greens in here, but you can cook your greens. Are you talking about a smoothie or generally? You can cook your greens, absolutely, for supporting your liver. It doesn't really... There's no difference between raw or cooked in terms of liver support. What the liver loves is bitters. So anything that has got bitter quality to it is going to be a big ally to your liver. All right, let's talk about 3 supplements, because one of my objectives is, in case you're joining us late, I was talking about the liver being like a sieve, and once things get gunked up here, you don't support it properly, everything starts overflowing. And this is when allergies, you guys, start happening. So I talked about hormone support. Now the next thing is, we are going into allergy season, right? And I know many of you are going to be suffering. So, there's so many ways you can do to support your liver to get more instant results apart from diet. Diet can take 2-3 months before you start seeing the difference in your liver. What's going to make a huge difference really quickly is by adding a few supplements that can really help. So this is where if you're on our mailing list, we just sent out an email this morning. Those are the 3 things that really can make a huge difference. Magnesium, and I'll talk about each in a second. The second one is Broca Power. So the broccoli sprouts that I talked about just now, but this is in a standardized form. Let me say in a second what it means. And then B Maximus, which is B complex. So let me start off with, since I talked about broccoli sprouts. So broccoli sprouts contain a substance called sulforaphane, which is quite amazing. For those of you who follow us for a while with estrogen dominance, sulforaphane is essential in helping you to detoxify your liver from estrogens. Turns out sulforaphane is also is one of the compounds in the sulfur group. And the sulfur is hugely important in the sulfation pathway of the liver, which is one of the pathways that detoxifies you from, actually, let me just give you, just pull out my cheat sheet, which is your sulfation pathway is responsible for conjugating and evacuating progesterone, estrogen, thyroid hormone, DHEA, melatonin, histamine production, or lowering histamine, dopamine, adrenaline, noradrenaline. What inhibits it is NSAID, so your painkillers. What supports it is sulfur-rich foods, MSM, cruciferous vegetables, sulfur-containing amino acids, including, and so, sulfur-rich foods. So this is where you have your Broca Power. Furthermore, sulforaphane is also incredible anti-inflammatory. It there's so many studies showing its impact on lowering estrogen dominance, but also on preventing and destroying stem cells of cancer cells in breast cancer patients. So it's pretty an incredible substance. We are running 20% off until this Sunday. So on something like Broca Power, you can be saving as much as, Kamalani, how much was that again? I'm just gonna pull out my notes for today. You can save $14, you guys. So this is a big saving. If you haven't tried our Broca Power before, this is your opportunity to give it a try. And it's $20, 20% off. So you're saving $14. Let me talk about Magnesium Replenish, because that's one of my absolute favorites. So if you're buying magnesium, actually, one more thing I want to mention about Broca Power. So you might ask a question, so why take this versus why don't I just put a lot of my broccoli sprouts into my smoothie, right? And have that in the salad or in a smoothie every day. And the answer is, I want you to do both. The reason why I still drink broccoli sprouts, no matter what, is because they're just so full of chlorophyll and other vitamin minerals. Problem is, what we have found when we were formulating this is there is an independent study that I talk about on our website that shows that unfortunately the content of sulforaphane in broccoli sprouts, no matter where you get it, whether it's organic or whether it is obtained from Walmart or Safeway or Whole Foods, it's just, source doesn't matter. It needs to be tested for the amount of sulforaphane, and the content of sulforaphane varied from being minuscule to being super high. So we formulated in a way that we obtain seeds from a source that is known to be very high in sulforaphane, because the lab, the supplier we work with, actually tests for sulforaphane content. That's the reason why we call it standardized, so we can standardize it and say that it contains X percent, or 21 grams of sulforaphane. With these broccoli sprouts that I'm drinking right now, I got them at Whole Foods. I don't know how much sulforaphane I'm getting. I'm drinking it because it makes me feel good. I love them. But if you want to standardize, and for like also breast cancer patients, for example, and people who really want to manage their estrogen dominant symptoms, having something standardized is going to be a lot more helpful. So let me move on to Magnesium Replenish. Not all magnesium is the same. If you follow us for a while, you know that that is very true. The magnesium I'm highly recommending for you to use in the glycerate form. So if you want to support us, great. If you have another favorite brand, that's great too, but just make sure you're getting a high quality product. So magnesium in a form of malate, glycinate. Citrate is not my favorite because it gives you a diarrhea. I was constipated just a couple of nights ago, and so I ended up taking citrate. It's a wonderful thing to move things out really quickly, but it's not a great way to replenish your magnesium levels, especially if you're low. How do you know your magnesium low? Well, one of them is that you're constantly constipated, you're craving chocolate, you're having a lot of muscle tensions and body aches. That could be you sleeping poorly. That's some of the symptoms. One of the forms of magnesium you don't want to be using is magnesium oxide. So make sure that if you're buying a magnesium from someone, is not in an oxide form. That's the cheapest and least bioavailable form of magnesium. We are running 20% off, and then you're getting $7, $60 off. Why is it important for the liver? Well, magnesium generally relaxes everything. One of the ways that we get liver congestion is in times of stress, when you're stressed out, your shoulders start cramping up, right? You just feel very tense everywhere. You go for a massage, your massage therapist will tell you that you are very stressed and tensed up. And so magnesium has this incredible ability to opening everything up. And the more you open and relax everything, the more flow there's going to be through the liver as well. So that's part of the reason why we love that as a facilitator to the detoxification process for the liver. Lastly, B vitamins, so B complex is another huge one. When I have my cheat sheet that shows me the 7 pathways, liver detoxification pathways, and what are the cofactors? Cofactors means what are the binders that are needed to bind up in phase 2. You have, when toxins enter the body, they are typically in oil form, and then they have to be made into water soluble toxins, and that's what happens in phase 2 liver detoxification. So B vitamins in almost every single one of the pathways they play a role. B1, B2, B6, folate plays a role, B12 plays a role. And so those are the binders that will bind up with the toxins and evacuate them. If you have a favorite vitamin B complex brand that you want to buy, go ahead, sure. Just make sure there's a couple of things you want to look out for. You always want to make sure that you want to see them in a methylated form, and vitamin B12 should be in methylcobalamin form, okay, and not in cyanocobalamin, because that's a very poor type of vitamin B12, which is actually quite toxic. And then another one is, when you look at the label, you want to make sure the vitamin B6 is also in a methylated form. And a good reputable supplement manufacturer or maker will disclose the full name, and don't just put their B6, because it really means nothing. So on our B Maximus, you're also getting 20% off, and that's you're saving $5.60 for on that. So that's another cool thing. So hey, you guys, so if there is a code that you need to use at the checkout, I forgot to say, it's called Liver Love 20. And so if you're getting all the 3 supplements together, then it's basically you are saving a total of actually $27.20. So this is a good time to try it if you haven't tried our supplements before. Okay, so let's see. Kamalani, why don't we put up a couple of questions, and I'll take a quick look at Instagram, see what questions are coming there, and then we can do some quick Q&As. While you wait, looking for one, okay, well, Tiffany, I have chronic fatigue, high estrogen, magnesium glycinate makes me sleepy, and if I take it at night, I'm even more fatigued, feeling in the morning. Even try taking half the dose, which I could take more, and every day. So Tiffany, try different forms of magnesium. You could try magnesium malate. That's another form, and so also make sure that you are taking a magnesium that's really clean. I don't know whether it's ours you're taking or somebody's else, to make sure that there is nothing added to it, like corn, and it's a really clean supplement. So that will be. Ellison is asking, what do you think about taking chlorella and wheatgrass? Is it good daily? Yeah, sure. So chlorella, it's interesting about chlorella is that about 30% of the population is actually sensitive to chlorella. So you got to be mindful of that. If you're burping it, for example, I burp chlorella and spirulina. So then it's just your body's sign of saying that's not great for you. And wheatgrass, it can be wonderful as well. It's also highly alkalizing, which is part of the reason why my smoothie here, I use no sugar in it whatsoever. I use lemon and lime. I use broccoli sprouts, and all of them are highly alkalizing for the body as well. Okay, let's see what other question. Dandelion root for liver. Absolutely. Yes, Kathy. Really great one. And you can buy it in, as in a bulk form from like an herbal store, or you can get it in any tea bags as well and just make a tea. This is especially good to make it after dinner or after a meal, because then you're producing a lot of the juices, and the digestion is going to improve for the dandelion root as well. So that's a great one. Somebody's asking about how much broccoli sprouts a day is good to take. So there is we have so it depends on what you mean by good for you to take, right? If 21 grams of sulforaphane is what's recommended on a daily basis for like addressing very proactively symptoms of estrogen dominance. If I had breast cancer, I would use like 21 grams of sulforaphane standardized in some ways. So it depends on like how much is in it, right? And you would really never really know. I think doing like between a quarter cup to half a cup a day in smoothies or added to salads is plenty. What other questions do we have, Kamalani? What is my B6? What if my B6 says peroxidol 5-phosphate? So yeah, that's in a methylated form. So that's a good form of vitamin B6. Do you ship to the UK or overseas? No, we don't, unfortunately. Shipping supplements is a real impossibility almost. And so listen, what you can do is just look for the information, like supplements that are mentioning that are, that have similar quality to what I'm describing. Worst comes to worst, you can always ask somebody from the US to ship it to you, or use myus.com for shipping. But I think you can save a lot of money just by looking at it, looking for it in your own country. What's the book? The book is Overcoming Estrogen Dominance. That's my latest book on, well, as the title says, Overcoming Estrogen Dominance. One of the pivotal, one of the supporting legs, if you will, of really good hormonal health is your liver function is one of them. So there's actually a whole big chapter on how to support your liver. And all the foods are actually incorporated into the recipe. So that's the cool thing about it, you guys. So let me show you. We have a number of recipes at the back here, and all these recipes actually are already created in a way that it heals your gut, supports your liver, balances your blood sugar level, so you don't have to think about it. What can we do in addition to the supplements to get best results? So Linda, I think I mentioned the book, Anything Bitter Foods, Bitter Herbs. Our digestive bitters are actually really great for liver support too, you guys, because again, when you do bitters into your mouth or in the form of bitter foods, it creates this cascade of different enzymatic productions and effects, and one of them it impacts the liver as well. Okay, Kamalani, let's do maybe one or two questions and we wrap up. Julia says, thank you so much. Would you recommend supplements for kids with allergies as well? So I am not, Julia, I don't specialize in pediatrics, so you have to ask your pediatrician. You can scale down the doses. These supplements, from what I know, should be okay for kids with the reduced doses. Another thing for kids that are really great is, and for us as well, is our nettles, and quercetin is another product that we had last week. We had a sale on that. And so that's a hugely anti-inflammatory too, that helps with allergies. Okay, let's do one more question. Susan is saying nutmeg helps cleanse liver too. What other herbs and spices help? I love the dandelion tea. Yeah, so dandelion root. You also have, burdock root is another one. Endographis is a huge one that can help. Endographis became very popular during COVID because it was the official COVID herb used in Thailand as an official herb. So let me just show you on page 80. Let me just give you the list of what are some of the different herbs that you can use. So liver detoxification. Let me just jump over to the herbs here. So the different foods, let me just mention foods. So different foods for liver support would be sulfur-rich foods. So it would be like onions, garlic, leeks, chives, scallions. So the whole onion family. Collagen-rich foods. Pomegranates are absolutely amazing. Turmeric, wild salmon, beets. Beets are huge, you guys. Berries, cacao, citrus, including the zest, actually more so than the zest. The zest is actually more so than anything else, not the pith. So just the zest on the outside. It contains a substance called D-limonene, which supports liver function. Thyme, NAC, which is amino acid that's just been taken off the market for most places. So liver herbs will be burdock root, St. John's wort, calendula. Liver stimulants would be dandelion root, chicory root, endographis, Oregon grapefruit. Liver protectors would be things like turmeric, schizandra, milk thistle, and licorice. Licorice is actually quite amazing for that as well. Okay. So I hope this is helpful, you guys. We have the sale on 20% off on these products. You can save over $24, whatever that was, till the end of this week. On Sunday, the coupon code expires. Liver Love 20, right? That's the coupon. And really, this is our way to incentivize you to take action, because take care of your liver and your seasonal allergies are going to be non-existent. It's going to be a non-issue for you this year if you take care of your liver properly. Okay, well, I hope this is helpful, and you take action, whether it's with us or you buy other supplement. I don't really care. I just hope that really that helps you and you get some things done. All right, thanks everyone, and we'll see you soon. Bye for now.